Hi everyone, it's Allison from Fathom 5 Tarot and Happy New Year! Happy 2021 everyone. Isn't that awesome? I mean, I hope, but kind of how can it miss? So I'm here to do our first week ahead reading of 2021. It's it is technically Sunday the 3rd. It's super late. I'm just recording this. My day tomorrow is going to be bonkers. So I'm recording it just before I go to bed. And for today's reading, I'm going to go back to basics, y'all. It's the first reading of 2021. Got to use my beloved Centennial Smith weight. That habit I still haven't mastered. I think it's because now that I'm on Instagram, I'm typing so much about like just back and forth in chats and comments about tarot. And so RWS just rolls off the fingers. But as I've said before on this channel, I really want to try and call it the Smith weight because Pamela Coleman Smith is the reason we have the images. So, jumper. So we'll see what that is in a minute. So I hope that everyone had a fabulous New Year's. I had a very boring New Year's, which was fabulous given the condition of the world. Barely made it up for midnight. Just sent some texts and called it a night, which is great. I actually hate New Year's Eve. Such a night of expectation. And the very first year I stayed home for New Year's Eve, it was like a revelation. It was so good. I'm not even, I guess I can be kind of antisocial, but man, New Year's Eve is not my bag. It's expensive. I don't like dressing up really. So staying home is where it's at. For me anyway. Alright. So our jumper is the Eight of Pentacles. Oof. This one's got some energy to it. Okay, so Eight of Pentacles is the first card. And then we have the Empress in the middle position. And then the High Priestess. So I think I am going to draw a few clarifiers on this one. But what I immediately get from this, right, the Eight of Pentacles, I see as like the development of a craft, right? So if we look at, this guy, he's replicating his work. Interestingly, this is one of the staged cards, which I find really interesting in the case of this card. You can see it looks like, I've talked about this on this channel before, but it looks like he's on a stage set as opposed to some other cards like the Empress, where it doesn't look like that. She looks like she's actually in that landscape. But this particular card, in terms of the craft, like something that you do, something practical, maybe something you've been thinking about for a long time. But this is very much a doing card. Do the thing this week that you have been meaning to do, thinking about doing. If you've been cooking up the creative process in your mind, then it's time to just get something down. If I'm going to talk about my own sort of creativity, probably the thing that I would classify myself in terms of creation is writing. I'm a writer. And but I can really get stuck in my head and stuck in my, shadows. Stuck with my inner editor, right? And sometimes you just have to get the words down on the page. And if you don't eventually end up using those words, that's fine. But if you're the kind of person who gets caught up in that headspace of I can't start, I'm not good enough, I can't start, I'm not good enough. It's like, I remember the first time I went to see a personal trainer and I was like super nervous about it. And I was like, no, I'm not very good at push-ups. And she was like, that's why you come to a personal trainer. Like, we have this idea that the thing that we're going to do, we have to be good at right out of the gate. And sometimes that gets us stuck in our feelings. And when I look at the cards with it, we have, Empress and the High Priestess. Like this to me is a really interesting balance of creative energy, right? Because we have the high priestess who is very much like wisdom and intuition and knowledge, right? She's holding the Torah in her lap. She has the fruits of knowledge. She has a balanced card and has this sort of magical knowledge. But then we have this very practical, earthy sensibility of the Empress, right? The pregnant Empress, willing to burst something or ready to burst something into the world and have it come to fruition. And I also think there's this really nice sort of feminine energy here, that not that creativity necessarily has to be feminine, but stereotypically in the mind, that may be sort of the sense of what it is. So I find that super, super interesting in terms of a balance of creativity. Let's draw a little bit more here. Oh, jumper, interesting. Okay. So in very different energy, I got on the second clarifier cards, the Seven of Wands and the Eight of Cups, which work really well together, actually. Given the first three cards, I see this as being a very internal image, this idea of feeling like your ideas are sort of at battle with each other. Maybe that inner critic that I was talking about before. Don't do that. Stop that. That's not right. That's not good enough. What will people think? All of those kinds of things. One of the things I always find so interesting about the Seven of Wands is that like you can't see the attackers. You just see the weapons. And I think that's a really good symbol for that sort of internal struggle, that feeling that maybe these are all being wielded by you, right? And you're just not letting your creative energies flow. And if that's the case, you got to just walk away from that, right? Put that aside for now. Again, if I'm going to relate it to my own craft, which is writing, this is why there's some debate about this, but this is why I really like projects like NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month in November, because it's all about quantity and not actually about quality. But their philosophy is like, so many people get so hung up on the quality and the worry of it that they just never put a word on the page, right? So it's like, get rid of your inner editor because you have to do, what is it? Is it 50,000 words in a month or something crazy? Or is it 100? I can't remember. I haven't done it for a few years. But it's like this really huge goal that you just have to like write and write and write. And then just, if you get stuck, if you want to make your goal, you just have to write your way through it. There's this great quotation, and I'm not going to remember who said it now. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. But this author said that you cannot think your way out of a writer's block. You have to write your way out of a thinking block, which is just so great. So this, to me, all comes back to this. And it doesn't have to be an artistic craft, right? But what is the thing that you want to do, the thing you want to hone? It's interesting, actually. It's very much like a New Year's resolution card, even though I did not make one resolution this year. I'm just going to try to get better at the things I've already said I want to be good at. Gonna focus on those things. But you know that you have this power, right, behind you as you work through your craft and the thing that you want to create. And you gotta get through that by this. Walk away, right? You have the foundation, you have the tools you need, right? You're ready to go. So don't let this get in your way. Don't do it, right? It's probably nobody below those wands, right? There we go. It's going to be a good week for some creative energy, for building up from a foundation you already have. Just know you got that Empress and High Priestess on your side. Have a great week. Can't wait to see you again soon.